Why do you feel like most people relate to having a dysfunctional family growing up? Why do people, it seems like people have a lot of dysfunction in families?
Because parents are human beings who have no clue what they're doing. Siblings are human beings who have no clue what they're doing. Aunties and uncles, human beings, have no clue what they're doing. We have an expectation based on their role. We think, oh my gosh, once you become a mother, there's all of these things. Once you become a father, once you become an uncle, like you'll know how to communicate with kids. No, I don't know how to, so these things, these expectations, not that they're unreasonable, but the person can't, they can't meet it. They don't grow up. They have their own, demons they're fighting. They aren't emotionally mature. They're not reading a ton of self-help books. They haven't been to therapy. So our expectation of people, sometimes they can't be met. And that's a tough pill to swallow, that although this person is a parent, they may not be nurturing. Although this person is a sibling, they may not be supportive. Although this person is your grandparent, they may have another favorite, all of these things that happen in family. I think we think of dysfunction as abuse, neglect. But it's also, when someone dies and everybody's fighting over an inheritance. It's also, having issues with your in-laws. It's also sabotaging your sister's wedding. It's so many things. And that's why I think people identify, because, so many people in the family. I mean, pick a person.
I know.
It's like
someone's messed up somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. I mean, it's not the nuclear family, but gosh, those cousins. It's somewhere.
Yeah. I love in your dedication, you say, we are the answer, not the people we can't control. How do we learn to self-soothe in dysfunctional family relationships? Because one, you're talking about addressing, as an adult, the parent or the person that maybe you caused upset or pain, right? It's addressing it and having a conversation, writing a letter. And we may not get a good response. Hopefully we do, but we may not. How do we learn to self-soothe and mend and heal, even when the other person attacks us or blows up even more?
Acceptance.
That's what I was, It's all about acceptance.
But it's such a process. I was talking to a friend the other day who was talking about her relationship with a family member who isn't what she wants that person to be. And she said, I don't know if I accept her. I said, you do, because you don't invite her into spaces that you know she won't fit in. We think that acceptance looks like everything will be better, when in actuality, it is seeing a person as they are and knowing that you are powerless to change it.
Yeah.
So this is my mother. This is my mother and father. This is my sibling. You can want something to be different until the end of time, but this is the situation. Given the situation I have, what do I want to do about it? Often we want the other person to do something about it. The person who has exhibited, all of these things, we're like, why don't you get sober? Why don't you start being more nurturing? You don't call me more often. You're not doing this. I had a game and you did. It's like, the acceptance of that is, this person is whatever this thing is. How do I be in this relationship with them, or choose not to be in this relationship with them? How do I create closeness? How do I create distance? What can I do to change this situation? Because we're often trying to change people who aren't interested in changing. They aren't going to therapy. They aren't reading these books. It's like you getting the enlightenment and being like, oh, they need to change now that I know this term for them. It's like, they're a gaslighter. They must change. It's like, they're not reading that book. You're reading the book.
And maybe they don't want to change.
They don't want to change. They're fine with their behavior. So what will you do when, they continue to do these things?
Acceptance and boundaries is what it sounds like, right? I remember for years, I used to be kind of frustrated with my mom when I was like an adult, after 21, let's say. It took me a while to become an adult, but I'd say after 21, right? I get frustrated with her because I felt like she kept treating me like a child, right? And I didn't like that feeling, and I wanted her to change. And I don't know, 10, 15 years went by, she didn't change. And I expressed my frustrations and all these things, didn't change, right? She looked at me as her little baby, even though I was a grown man at the time. And it was frustrating. And I had to learn to accept her. And it wasn't until maybe like 5 years ago where I fully had like acceptance of my mom, like this is who she is. It's not gonna change, but I can create boundaries and, you know, make sure I set a boundary for myself so it doesn't affect me as much and just love her for who she is. And it's been a beautiful experience for me. I feel a lot more joy thinking about my mom, knowing that this is the way she is, and it's okay, as long as I put boundaries in place. So, but why do you think it's so hard for us to accept the people we love the most?
Because we would rather put the duty of doing the work on others. In the situation you just described with your mother, if she would have changed when you were 21, the easiness.
So much easier, right?
So much easier. But if you had to place a boundary, the work you had to do. Oh my gosh. We get so upset at people for making us. Why are they emailing me on vacation? Because you're responding. How do you stop responding? You know, the work that we have to do in our relationships with people, it's almost like we get upset with them for making us do the work when really they're just being themselves.
Yes.
If you don't want to be treated like a child, how do you become more of an adult?
Create boundaries.
You create those boundaries. So when your mom is like, tell me about your girlfriend, you're like, I don't want to talk about it. And then your mom is like, oh, he doesn't have to tell me everything anymore. Exactly. So it's you doing that work. Your mom can always ask, and you can always place that boundary.
Exactly. Just say, I don't want to talk about it right now, Mom. Let's talk about something else or whatever.
And I need you to wash my clothes. Right. I don't need you to figure out what I'm doing with you have to be the person to say that because your mom is operating in the capacity that she knows.
Absolutely, yeah. That's beautiful. What else do you think people get wrong about family dynamics? Siblings, parents, kids, and what else do we need to know about this?
One of the things we get wrong is that if we are honest about what the relationship is, that we will lose our love for the person.
Can you give me an example?
If I say my mother was unkind, that means I don't love her. No, that doesn't mean you don't love her. It just means she was unkind. Maybe sometimes, maybe all the time. I don't know, but you could still love people who do things to you or who cause you to feel a certain way. And sometimes we don't know that. We think if we say anything bad about someone, it means that we don't love them, that we're betraying them. And both of those things can exist. You know, when I find people talking about their parents, they will say all of these nice qualities because they're trying to make them not seem like a bad person. When we talk about our partners, we'll say, you know, I really love this person. They've been there for me. They always listen to me. And then, you know, like we are trying to say, I really love them. And I don't want to say anything bad about them. And we don't have to protect the truth. We don't have to protect the person from everything that we feel about them. One thing we've been practicing in our house, I have 2 daughters. And they are at that age where they bicker all the time. And, oh, she's annoying. And I say, everyone in this house is annoying. You, your sister, your dad, the dog, the TV sometimes is too loud. This is normal in relationships. We're not going to always get it right. And if we have an expectation of perfection in a relationship, sometimes I'm going to say the wrong thing. And I want you to be able to, you know what? Sometimes you say the wrong thing. Sometimes you're unkind. Sometimes you annoy me. Sometimes that happens in relationships. And we should be able to talk about the totality of the relationship, not just the good parts. And, you know, they're really amazing in these ways. But, you know, I felt neglected when. That really hurt when you said, I wish you would have done more of. Those are also things we should say.
Before the interview continues, if you feel like you're not living your most authentic life, not leaning into your purpose, and not living the life that your future self would be extremely proud of, I've written a new book called The Greatness Mindset, and I think you're gonna love this. Through powerful stories, science-backed strategies, and step-by-step guidance, The Greatness Mindset will help you overcome all the different challenges in your life to design the life of your dreams and then turn it into your reality. Make sure to click the link below in the description to get your copy today. Okay, let's get back to this video.
It's not all about all of the things going well all the time. A normal part of relationships is having some sort of conflict. We can't watch a movie without a little bit of conflict. I mean,
You
who
need
wants
it.
to? Yeah, even a good old rom-com. You
Right.
need that conflict.
You need it.
Yeah, so it's a part of being in relationship that it doesn't have to be perfect to exist. We can talk about all parts of it. It doesn't mean that the relationship is bad or we
Sure.
don't want to be in it. It just means that we're being honest.
Where do you struggle the most in your relationships in terms of how you interpret relationships, how you react and respond? You're in this work constantly. You're working with people who are in breakdown, who are struggling, who are, coming to you for guidance. But where do you see that you could grow the most personally in relationships?
I think having more understanding for people who are unwilling to do the work. Because I'm around people constantly who are doing the work. I'm a therapist, so everyone that I see is doing the work. A lot of people that I talk to on podcasts or, in my online community, they're trying to do the work. So to be in personal relationships where they're like, I'm fine, it's you.
It's hard to be compassionate about that.
It's like, what? We have all of this information available. Yeah, so that piece, that like holding that grace of, it hasn't always been easy for me. And it takes a lot of self-compassion and grace to get to a point of saying, you know what, I did mess up. And I have to remember that because everybody's not in that space. And so some of those personal relationships, it's like, yeah, they're not in that space. And that's okay. I haven't always been in that space. How dare I look down on someone like, look at me now. I'm in a better space. It's like, I get it. It's tough because I wish sometimes I could unsee stuff. It's like, I wish I didn't care about things so much anymore. Like, gosh, I wish that thing didn't make me sad because it was a good life to not feel some things. Relationships, they were bad, but they were better because you had them. So I think that, this knowing sometime is like, ugh. It's tough.
The awareness.
The awareness.
Consciousness, seeing it. I hear you. Well, I'm excited about your book, Drama Free, A Guide to Managing Unhealthy Family Relationships. I think a lot of people can relate to experiencing this now or at some point in their life, dealing with someone in their family that was maybe unhealthy or just they struggled to really mend certain things. So I want people to get this book. You've also got another book that's amazing as well. Get both of them. But again, get this for your whole family. So you can go through the practices, the guides, all the tools in here that'll support you, create more emotional peace, create more love, more joy in your relationships. That's what I believe we're all seeking, we all want. We want more of that. Even if it's familiar to be in chaos, I don't think that's our true nature. That's just familiarity and a comfort zone. But it's time to break free of that. It's time to become drama-free and break free of the unhealthy relationships. So I'm very excited about the book. And I want people to get this. Also, where can we go to support you, follow you, get the book, learn more about these things?
My website, NedraTawwab.com. Everything is there. From there, you will be connected to my socials, to workshops, worksheets, everything that I'm doing.
Okay, cool. NedraTawwab.com. We'll have it all linked up. Your Instagram is amazing as well. I love everything you post over there. So make sure you guys go follow on social media as well. I asked you this question before, but we were virtual, so I'm curious if there's a different response.
Okay.
It's a question I ask everyone at the end called the 3 truths. So imagine a hypothetical scenario. It's your last day on earth many years away. You live as long as you want to live, but it's
I'm
the last
200.
day. You live 200, 500, doesn't matter to me. And you experience life on your terms. You create what you want. You have the life you want. You write more books. You help more people. Whatever you want to do, you live that life. But for whatever reason, all of your work and your message has to go with you when you pass. This book, social media, AI, whatever you create in the future is gone. So we don't have your words anymore, your message. But you get to leave 3 lessons behind, 3 things you know to be true from your experience that you would share as lessons for the world to think about. What would be those 3 truths for you?
I would say live authentically, create your life, and be present.
I love all 3 of those. Live authentically, create your life, and be present. Before I ask the final question, Nedra, I want to acknowledge you again for your light. You bring such a light to the world with your work, with your teaching, with your one-on-one practice, but also the messages you bring to all of us. And I'm so grateful that you are here to be of service to humanity, because we need people like you. So I really acknowledge you for your gifts, your unique experiences, your perspective, and your ability to serve in the unique way that you do. It's beautiful. So thank you. My final question is, what's your definition of greatness?
Definition of greatness, I think love. Love is the definition of greatness. Without that, what is life if we can't have love? When we have long-term relationships or intimate relationships with people, of course, day one, they can't say, oh, I'm going to cuss you out and we'll be in this relationship for 10 years. But maybe after a while of building trust and learning a person and learning how you can manipulate the situation, that's when we start to see